The sound of a wheezing breath drew her attention in the dark, narrow alley. As her eyes adjusted, she saw Ite, a tiny, trembling puppy, lying helplessly in a cardboard box, its whimpers almost drowned out by the roar of a passing train nearby. Anna kneels down, the dampness of the alley seeping through her jeans and into her bones. She reached out to the trembling creature, whispering soft reassurances under her breath. Anna Russo had always been underestimated. For the 26-year-old barista at Café Nouveau, life in Bellemontaine, unassuming city shadowed by lingering mafia legends, was tolerable, if not predictable. Every day she moved through life in a practiced rhythm, serving espresso to nameless patrons, exchanging polite smiles that rarely reached her eyes, and retreating to her small, colorful apartment, cluttered with memories of a better past. It was her unassuming presence that masked the chaos inside her, an intricate dance of dreams left behind, and a fierce independence that only surfaced under duress. Anna pulled her wool scarf tighter, the chill of the evening whispering secrets of winter. Her small, delicate frame belied a will of steel, hardened by circumstances, yet polished with kindness. As she cradled the forgotten puppy, now nestled securely against her chest, the gritty scent of the alley faded into the background. But in its place came another, a heavier, more foreboding presence made known by the subtle notes of gunmetal and cologne. "What do we have here?" a voice intoned, smooth and slightly curious, yet laced with danger. Anna startled, turning sharply to face a man cloaked in the night's shadow, his presence dominating the narrow alley. Leon Romano Bellamont's infamous Mafia capo, with piercing eyes that could unsettle even the bravest of souls. "This alley's not yours," he remarked, his gaze flicking to the puppy, then back to her, sharp with curiosity and something dangerously akin to amusement. Truth was, Anna had stayed clear of all things mafia, mindful of the cautionary tales whispered among the city's outskirts. Yet here she was, tangled in a fate twisted by a stray puppy and the mafia boss who now seemed to claim the same. "It was alone," she murmured, surprise masking the fear creeping into her voice. Leon's smile was almost imperceptible against the shadows. "Such compassion in a place like this is rare," he admitted, flicking a glance at his waiting black car, glistening under a street lamp. "You're not afraid of me, Miss Russo?" Anna swallowed hard, her resolve hardening beneath layers of swirling adrenaline. "Forgive my bluntness," she replied, her voice steadier, "but it's not every day a capo is interested in a stray." Leon chuckled, a sound rich like velvet yet laced with malice. "Perhaps not the stray I'm interested in." The weight of that statement hung between them like a taut string, delicate yet perilously close to snapping. Just as Anna felt the noose tighten, fate threw them a lifeline more accurately, a dilemma she couldn't ignore. Three men, clad in leather jackets and counting mismatched tattoos of the rival Ricci family, advanced down the alley with a confidence that was clearly misplaced. "Looks like you've made some friends," Anna commented dryly, her sardonic humor blossoming under duress. Leon's expression shifted to one of calculating detachment, a predator aware of being stalked but unperturbed. "Not for long," he said, his words a promise and a threat. As Anna held her ground, puppy still clutched tightly, the alley became a battleground of intense. With each step they drew closer, the air thickened with the scent of danger and possibilities unspoken. The obscured moonlight glinted off a hidden blade as Leon moved with fluid precision, each action deliberate, each strike echoing with a beauty that was terrifying in its cold efficiency. Anna watched, heart pounding, a spectator to a dance macabre. "Stay close," Leon instructed her during a momentary pause, eyes never leaving the approaching wolf pack. Anna nodded, a willingness to be guided by this unexpected guardian of shadows intertwining with her determination to protect the life she cradled. In this night painted black with foreboding, alliances felt more like gambling with fate, a roll of dice where the stakes whispered of a life-altering change. The tension reached its crescendo as the rival men hesitated. Caught in the web Leon expertly wove, and slunk back into the darkness with promises of retribution dripping from smirked lips. Relief crashed over her in waves, heavy and overwhelming. Anna exhaled, unaware she had been holding her breath. In the silence that ensued, the puppy stirred, as if sensing its part in this shift of destiny. They stood there amidst echoes of conflict unresolved, until Leon broke the silence with a voice as cool as the night air, a velvet dagger piercing the calm. Your bravery is misplaced in this world, he said, a peculiar mix of respect and warning tinting his words. Bravery has strange allies, Anna replied. The pup, a weight between them, a symbol of found innocence or loss, depending on the night's observer. Leon's gaze lingered on her, as if attempting to decipher a puzzle she herself had not solved. The puppy stays. Anna frowned, unwilling to relinquish the creature so intertwined with this unforeseen path. As do you, Leon added, his eyes glinting with an unreadable promise. The resolve in his voice was met with silence, the unsaid stretching infinitely between them. Then, from the darkness, a chilling whisper, or none do. In the deafening silence that followed, a distant siren wailed, a lonely lament in the dead of night. The sound seemed to wrap itself around the alley like a shroud, a reminder that some wounds never healed, only bled quietly beneath the surface. Anna shivered slightly, a victim of both the cold and the magnitude of what had just transpired. The puppy, now a small bundle of comfort and vulnerability against her chest, whimpered as the crisp wind wound through the narrow alley, carrying with it the echoes of Leon's last words. She found herself wondering why she hadn't turned and fled. Perhaps it was the way Leon had held the darkness at bay with nothing more than his presence and a whispered promise of protection. Or maybe it was the understanding that, in that moment, he had seen something in her beyond the fearful woman clutching a stray. "Why did you do it?" she asked, her voice soft but resonant with curiosity shaded by unease. The question was barely a whisper, captured by the icy air and held out to the shadows as if to test their truthfulness. Leon's gaze didn't falter, and in that steadfastness, Anna sensed a solidity she hadn't known she was seeking. There it was again, that faint smile, as fleeting as smoke. "Everyone deserves a second chance," he replied simply, the depth of his words hinting at layers unspoken. Her days had been measured in cups of coffee and the laughter of strangers she'd never really meet. Each interaction a page in a well-worn book she knew by heart. And yet here, in the embrace of shadow and uncertainty, was a chapter written by hands not her own. Their shared gaze was broken as the puppy let out a sudden, plaintive yip, nuzzling Anna's chin insistently. It was a reminder that her world wasn't just about survival anymore. It had become a tapestry of life that she had yet to fully comprehend. But even as the puppy demanded her attention, she couldn't ignore the implicit threat they had fended off together, the presence looming like an unspoken promise that tonight was far from over. "Come." Leon's tone brooked no argument, inviting her into another life, a threshold she never thought she'd cross. But the allure of the unknown had always sung sweetly in her veins. As they moved towards the car, a sleek shadow against the dim streetlight, she glanced back one last time at the forlorn alley that bore witness to an unwelcome transformation. The interior of the car was a cocoon of warmth and opulence, a stark contrast to the unforgiving night outside. The leather seats were soft under her fingertips, a comforting assurance that the world could be kind as easily as it was cruel. Leon slid into the driver's seat in a movement so fluid it seemed almost practiced. An air of regality cloaked around him like a well-tailored suit. "Where to?" Anna asked, feeling a jolt of reality pierce through the surreal. Leon's eyes flickered to the rearview mirror as if the world outside might offer answers. "Somewhere safe," he said. "It's best to keep moving, for tonight at least." As the car slipped into the rhythm of the city, weaving through streets that echoed with the past, Anna found herself enmeshed in thoughts that stretched beyond the horizon of her old life. This, all of it, she trailed off, the complexity of feelings that simmered beneath the surface threatening to overflow. "The Richies have been bolder lately," Leon interjected, glancing sideways at her. "That alley was just a message." "A message?" Anna repeated, a mix of fear and intrigue weaving into her voice. "A reminder of the balance we walk, even on streets we claim." In moments like these, the world felt like an intricate clockwork of alliances and vendettas, each piece meticulously placed, each movement exacting a price. Why involve me? The question slipped out, inevitable, an arrow in flight aiming for the truth. Leon's knuckles whitened ever so slightly on the steering wheel, a fleeting betrayal of the composure he held. Because sometimes the unassuming have power, he offered, a revelation and an enigma in 10 simple words. The statement lingered, its implications vast and undefined, and in its wake, silence returned to the car, settling like a weight. As they approached the safe house an architect's dream veiled in secrecy on the city's outskirts, there was a tangible shift in the atmosphere. The promise of sanctuary carried with it an alien solitude, inviting questions yet curtailing answers. Upon entering, warmth and the scent of aged wood embraced her, evoking a memory of winters long past. It was a place untouched by Kate, a haven wrapped in twilight. Anna set the puppy down gently, watching as it explored its new environment with renewed vigor. The air felt alive with possibilities, each moment pregnant with the unspoken. Idly her fingers traced over furnishings polished by time and secrets. Here, time felt suspended, a pause in the ceaseless flow of life outside. Get some rest, Leon suggested, the authority in his voice now tempered by an unexpected kindness. Tomorrow will find us answers. But sleep felt distant, and Anna knew the night held more than whispers. It carried echoes that needed resolution. Leon. His name was a soft invocation, spoken as he turned to leave. Yes? Thank you. The smile he gave her then was genuine, illuminating, a momentary breaking of the storm. She watched as he retreated into the depths of the house, his footsteps fading into the murmur of the night. Her surroundings were at once alien and familiar, an enigma wrapped in the comfort of new beginnings. The city's pulse eased in the pre-dawn hours while she lay awake, her thoughts tangled and trailing into the shadows where hope and fear danced their perpetual ballet. Somewhere on the other side of those walls, the city slept. But here, with the weight of the world pressing in, she felt awake, alive, every sense attuned to the possibility of change. And as the first hint of sunlight brushed against the horizon, a voice pierced the dawn with a simple, chilling clarity. They know where you are. The echo of approaching footsteps snapped Anna awake, new dominating rife with the promise of danger and discovery. Her eyes darted to the door, half expecting an intrusion of figures cloaked in menace. Instead, the quiet patter of rain against the window greeted her, harmonizing with the distant hum of a waking city. A night had passed, laden with revelations and shadows. And now the unfamiliar room she found herself in bore the imprint of a life not her own. She pushed aside the quilt, feeling its warmth retreat as she swung her legs over the edge of the bed. The plush carpet was a shock to her soles, a contrast to the cold suspicion that curled tight in her chest. Glancing around, Anna took stock of her surroundings. A bedroom furnished with understated elegance, hints of a crafted life. Shelves heavy with tomes, whispered stories she would never know, each spine a silent witness to nights of solitude and study. In this borrowed sanctuary, clues to her protector's past lingered like faded memories. An old violin lay amidst framed photographs, a child's earnest smile beside a woman in the throes of laughter. They spoke of a different Leon than the world knew, far removed from the measured violence she'd witnessed. Then, like a breath exhaled into the stillness, the door creaked open. Leon stood there, the morning light spilling over his shoulders, framing him as an ominous and enigmatic silhouette. "We've had an unplanned visitor," he remarked, voice marbled with tension. The news was both an announcement and a warning. Anna frowned, brushing a hand through her hair, struggling to clear the fog of fatigue clouding her mind. "Inside this house? Not quite," Leon replied, moving to the window and pulling back the drapes to reveal a vehicle idling outside unmarked, yet unmistakably out of place against the serene backdrop. They followed us, she surmised, as much to herself as to him. Fear prickled her skin, the implications settling like ice in her veins. "This safe house was compromised the moment we arrived," Leon continued, his expression a taut line of blended assessment, "but it was never meant to be more than a temporary shelter." Anna watched the rain beat against the gem, a steady percussion to her rising anxiety. "What do they want?" Leon shrugged, his nonchalance forced but unyielding. "What they always want: control, leverage." A silence ballooned between them, delicate but brimming with unasked questions. "Why are you telling me this?" she posed, curiosity etching into her voice. "You barely know me." "Because," he said, turning away from the window, his gaze capturing hers with a rare sincerity. Trust is as valuable as gold these days, and perhaps as false as it too. A shared understanding flickered in the swollen air, solidifying an unspoken alliance forged in crises, yet untested by resolve. And so, under a sky pregnant with rain, the lines drawn between them blurred, intentions and paths entangling. Anna moved toward the window, pulling the scarf tighter around her neck, a small act of defiance against a world eager to erase her will. "Do we meet them?" she asked, determination layering her otherwise soft timbre. "Not just yet," Leon advised, offering a small, reassuring smile. "There are layers to this, each more perilous than the last. And the Ricci family. They thrive in the shadows we cannot yet illuminate." With the day unfolding like the pages of a turbulent novel, Leon led her away from the window, deeper into the house's embrace. She followed, stepping into spaces filled with stories untold and ghosts uninvited. They entered a study, the scent of waxed wood mingling with the faint trace of incense. Maps plastered the walls, relics of battles won and territories held under thumb. Here, the city's secrets lay bared, ink trails intricately marking paths of power and influence. Leon gestured to a seat opposite a desk laden with papers. As she settled, he poured them both a drink, the clink of ice against glass, a promise of temporary reprieve. "This is not your fight," he began, words tumbling with a crispness that belied the warmth of the amber liquid. "And yet, you stand entwined in it." Anna met his gaze, a fierce light burning in her eyes. "I didn't choose the shadows," she countered, her voice cutting through the somber wood tones like a blade. "But I refuse to remain their victim." Her declaration hung between them, unyielding and potent. The room shifted, adjusting to a new balance struck by courage and conviction. Leon sat back, nodding appreciatively, recognizing the steel beneath her surface. "Then we'll navigate this together," he agreed, extending a Honda simple gesture underscored by a potent promise. She took it, the contact brief but grounding, tethering them to a shared course, a strand of fate intertwined with destiny. And so, marked by understood complexities, they began their work, laying plans as one lays stones, building defenses against a tide relentless and unforgiving. Throughout the morning, strategies crystallized, the portrayal of calculated risk inching them closer to a truth concealed beneath layers of deception. It was when the clock struck noon that a mutual understanding solidified, a readiness for whatever storm might come, a joint resolve to emerge not unscathed but evolved. Yet beneath the gathered determination, a shadow loomed, the subtle warning unfurled as Leon, glancing towards the nearest window, caught sight of a figure, a silhouette etched against the curtain of rain. "Anna," he whispered, his voice a mixture of disbelief and urgency. "It's a message." They both approached, the gravity of the scene unfolding like a tragic drama, their eyes fixed on the distant form. The figure stood unmoving, an agent of foreboding, gesticulating in the rain, each movement a harsh brushstroke against the tempestuous backdrop. As recognition dawned, Anna felt the truth coil within her, each twist searing yet clarifying. The rain kept falling, drumming insistently on the roof as if to remind her, "Nothing remains hidden forever," she murmured, with the storm reflecting in her wide eyes. Indeed, the city was still breathing, alive with notes of intrigue and expectation, and though cocooned in a fugitive moment, Anna knew this was only the beginning of a narrative far grander than herself. There, in the midst of resounding rain, she sensed the clockwork of destiny ticking onwards, each gear grinding within the grand machination of inevitability. "They're coming for you," Leon whispered, the unspoken weight bearing down on every syllable. In that very moment, the shadow outside shifted, a gesture that spoke volumes, a chilling promise unveiled amidst the rain-streaked silence. Anna's heart skipped. "What will you do?" Leon asked, traces of the storm clouding his eyes. Her breath caught, an answer hovering on the precipice of articulation, just as an inscrutable flicker shifted beyond Leon's gaze. And there, painted in shades of uncertainty, was the prelude to a challenge both fledgling yet seasoned. Then the figure in the rain moved, a deliberate pivot that left an indelible mark on the drenched slate of chaos. It was then that Anna realized the question wasn't, if she would choose a side, but when. Thus, this moment became history, a tableau poised on the edge. She was not just a woman in a story penned by capricious architects of fate. She was a character ready to rewrite the anguish-scripted path, prepared to carve a narrative around the notes of hope sprung from discord. And as a sudden gust of wind flung open the window, the room immediately seized by the fragrance of wetted earth. She knew. The real game was about to begin. Anna stood at the threshold, the sound of her pulse echoing in rhythm with the rain's relentless drumming. Her fingers brushed absent-mindedly over the pup's soft fur, now damp and slightly matted, as it nuzzled against her calf, sensing the turmoil tightening within her. The sight beyond the window, the silhouette, motionless and enigmatic against the storm's canvas, had anchored reality back into its fraught uncertainty. Around her, the house still whispered of covert histories, of paths crossing where once there were none. Moment by moment, as the storm deepened its claim upon the morning, Anna sank deeper into the swell of uncharted waters and defenses risen. It had been an innocuous morning until Leon's quiet command to stay close. Each word had woven snugly around her resolve like armor. Before she could rejoin Leon in the present, Anna's thoughts were drawn involuntarily to her earlier life, a sequence of cautiously navigated borders, personal and territorial. Anna brushed moisture from her cheek where the pup's wet nose had nudged her, lingering on the edge of revelation. Her balance teetered, tilting toward a resolution unsuited to her seams until now. They moved through the muted halls side by side, shadows intertwined in a frenetic dance with unpredictable rhythms. Leon's silence belied contemplation, a chess player moving pieces in his mind with silent deliberation. Every step bore the weight of understanding he had offered her, common enemies and dancing shades. The Richies don't relent. His words finally breached the silence, each syllable a measured cadence within the soft hum of rain. "Does anyone hear?" Anna replied, her tone holding more than defiance, a mix of recognition and muted admiration. Her senses flared. The rhythmic shifting of leather against her shoulder from her discarded coat served as a reminder of permanence and disruption. He quirked an eyebrow, a faint smile that seemed out of alignment with the bleak horizon outside. "You're adapting quickly." "Adapt or vanish. In this city, even the flowers must be cautious of where they lay roots," she retorted, her voice soft but edged, an image of resilience unfurling like petals in the rain. As they reached the study once more, Leon gestured toward a haphazard stack of papers grounded by a half-finished glass of whiskey. Each paper bore Mark's names, contacts, the web of allegiance and deceit. Her gaze traveled, settled finally on a photograph cropping up between those marks. His mother, she guessed, warmth glowing in her eyes. It was a snapshot firmly rooted in another time when mafias were perhaps families, not clandestine empires. "These are the strings, Anna. Pull any, and the rest begin to unravel." His fingers deftly plucked the photograph from the inevitable disarray, offering it to her as though within it resided some unspoken code. Anna accepted the offering, a vessel of stories that shaped destinies in ways both seen and hidden. She looked at his mother's face, kind, reassuring, as if beseeching Anna to understand the complexities of choice wrapped in familial binds. And just like that, the moment prolonged, grasping the threads of two truths, stretched to embrace what once was simple. "Have you ever wished away the web?" she asked, eyes opting for the shield his question had disassembled. "I have wished for lighter strings," he returned, level and rich with understanding. Thunder rumbled through the distance, a reminder. The city would not slow, even for reflection. Yet here, in a maneuver well scripted by fate's peculiar hand, Anna realized another layer lurked a realm where Leon wasn't the strategist alone but a child influenced by powers imposing and yet deeply humane. The city, cloaked in rain, a guardian in its own right, pulsed, drawing them from the refuge of timeless memory. Still opposites joined, they became attuned to the rhythm by which criminal and innocent danced, impossibly close. Leon stood, extending an invite to join him towards the truth they dared ignite, his eyes alight not with the storm's burdens, but the absolution embedded in finding. Right here, in this room framed by secrets, a fragile promise took root, a symbol of trust he now entrusted Anna with, grown from muted conversations once held in isolation. Now, he stated, as though she'd uttered the question. Let's ride the storm, she agreed without hesitation, the infringement of temperate elements erasing distinctions that no longer mattered. The day unfolded with anticipations ripe and bound within the intricate threads woven tightly across city streets. When next they looked beyond the confines, the rain had eased, permitting saturated air to release its grip. Shadows ebbed, the sun tentatively probed the landscape, a dawning of renewal rather than closure. Thus emboldened, Leon and Anna emerged into the day, splitting through retreating mist on unraveling steps. Confidence grew, hinting at deeper truths to be unraveled with each corner turned, an ally found. It was time. Anna's resolve had grown into something unyielding, hardened by tapestry woven of raw courage and silent acknowledgments. The truth didn't loom, it welcomed, its promise echoing in every cadence, every sigh disclosed by wind passing unnoticed and unexplored. As they forged ahead, the puppy trailed dutifully, its presence a reminder of simpler threads, those that united and healed in their fearless simplicity. Upon an untraveled path, each footfall betrayed a hidden story, until, at last, they stood beneath the city's arching boughs, baptized by light and shadow intertwined. And whispered words, hushed by expectant streets, danced along veins with certainty, something reconsidered, yet vividly real. They halted anew, thoughts a living tapestry conveyed through a single gaze more telling than conventional language. Leon's hand fell lightly around her shoulders, an anchor to steady courage soaring against tradition's grain. With a slight nod, Anna shifted the narrative's way. Not all shadows are threatening, she uttered, drawing upon foundations laid upon swirling perspectives and chance. No, he agreed, but they can entangle. In a moment that echoed transcendent reiteration, a promise revealed, yet rewritten against dawn's blushing light, they turned, purposeful strides resounding upon sodden ground, anticipating the graphic script their future would choreograph. Amid soft whispers once hidden, now stirred, unraveled by chance's willful embrace, and where intent met expectation, Anna found her strength thrusting upon one conclusion, freed upon uncertain definitions, a call written in fate's whimsical yet undeniable ink. Thus the air shifted subtly until clarity arose within a single line uttered by an unsure voice, a promise not of surrender but choice. Each step forward, each in those uncertain will yet define me, should you seek. She turned, met his gaze. Both silently affirmed the unknit ending, but inevitable future, a realm of boundaries neither understood yet, ready to explore. As light spilled across the alley, a figure, familiar yet distant, raised a Honda gesture against the encroaching morning breeze. Awareness flickered as realization dawned. Decide, the voice on the wind commanded, deceptive in its simplicity. For there beyond the rain lay paths unexplored, tokens unexplained, but like rumors born of loves long concealed, that only sought revelation's glorious dawn. The morning dew clung to Anna's skin like an invisible veil as she stumbled upon the sight that shattered the fragile calm. Leon, slumped against his car, a dark stain widening across his pristine white shirt. The world seemed to pause. His eyes briefly met hers before fluttering shut. The shock rustled through her body like autumn leaves caught in a sudden wind. Her mind raced, each thought a dissonant chord resounding within her chest. In the pale light of dawn, the alley lay still and indifferent, a mute witness to the unraveling drama. Around them, city sounds slowly infiltrated the silence, draping the morning in mundane normalcy that felt almost obscene. Anna dropped to her knees beside Leon, the gritty pavement grazing her palms. His breathing was a shallow echo of vitality, a fragile thread binding him to the moment. Her fingers swept over the gory wound with a tenderness that belied the desperation clawing at her insides. Stay with me, she urged, her voice a fierce whisper against the encroaching solitude. The irony wasn't lost on her. The night prior, he'd been her reluctant savior, and now she found herself cast in that role. Leon's demeanor belied the mortal precarity, that shroud of indifferent calm he'd worn like armor still faintly present even as consciousness ebbed. His fingers trapped her hand in a grip surprisingly strong. Anna, he rasped, each syllable a laborious climb. Car, under seat. Get it. She hesitated only a moment, torn between staying and cherishing the warmth of life in her grasp, and the promise of what he spoke of. The car door groaned in complaint as she wrenched it open, the musty warmth of leather and gunmetal embrace pouring over her like a lingering threat. Her hand fumbled beneath the seat until her fingers brushed steel a gun, cool and ominous, its purpose suspended between mercy and violence. Fingers trembling, she hefted it out, the weight anchoring her wavering resolve. Amidst the chaos and urgency, she was reminded of the unkind beauty inherent in darkness, the familiar caress of shadows that had become her companion in recent days. Returning to Leon, she could feel his gaze weighing more than words might convey. Anna swallowed hard, the rain-salted air sharp and cleansing. "It's yours now," he said, voice barely above silence. Their eyes met in a pact unspoken, allies bound not by choice but necessity. She nodded, newly cast in this role where lines were no longer clear and choices painted in shades of gray. Everything felt amplified, the scent of gunmetal, the fading whiff of Leon's cologne clinging to the air, and the persistent rhythm of her heartbeat underscoring this poignant tableau. Eyes narrowing, Anna surveyed the perimeter. Any prolonged reprieve was a delusion. Somewhere in the murk, Ricci eyes observed unseen, and in their world, weakness was an invitation, one she could no longer afford to extend. Anna stood, the heaviness of purpose weighing differently from despair. She had been dismissed once, overshadowed by chaos conceived in alleys and whispered threats, but not again. Heart pounding, she tuned into latent instincts, her synapses mapping a protective circle around them both. Any intrusion now would unravel the thin film of control she wore. Steeped within, Anna bore witness to her transformation, no longer solely an observer in someone else's tale. This resolve tempered with steel a gesture towards unredeemed potential. Time wove its own path around destiny as the sun lifted higher, burning through the last gazy threads of fog which clung to the morning. Leon's eyes blinked open, some strength garnered from shared resolve pulling him back from the brink. "Protect yourself," he urged, the weight of unfulfilled promises behind his words. Anna nodded, a solemn oath manifest between them, whispered in between rain's remnant in this bright, encroaching shimmer of day. For a moment, daylight sketched them in stark relief, two figures framed by the complex interplay of shadow and clarity, bound by ties unexpected in their depth and resonance. Then, like a switch flicking, noise erupted, an engine shifting down the alley, tires crunching over wet cobblestones. Her blood surged, a counterpoint to the vehicle's approach. The stakes of this game had shifted once more, and Anna stood at the precipice of new possibilities and dangers. Her grip on the gun tightened, a symbol of survival as viable as the courage streaming through her veins. In her heart, she determined that each harrowing moment was stitched into this newfound identity, no longer tempered by trepidation. And as if the universe conspired to narrate destinies forged in trials by the fire of peril, the car slid into view. Anna steadied her breath, aware of Leon's presence, and the truths forged under shadowed alleys. The car drew to a halt, a cavernous shadow reclaiming space until doors opened, the world pried wider, fate unspooled. Inside stood figures carved from enigma and authority, dynamic tableau, leading minds adrift through fog, unfurling with promises and prices anew. Anna's heart skipped a wild staccato flutter, her anticipation a tableau untamed in its ferocity. A man stepped from the vehicle, his coat billowing like a specter of power. His eyes scanned the morning scene with composed audacity. "I see you are not content with easy endings," he mused, voice shaded with the bite of authority and intrigue. Anna held her ground, a quiet strength threading itself through her demeanor. Only then did she allow herself to wonder, fleetingly, how many roles she might play within the confines of nobility, stealth, and promise. Breath caught in that eternal pause, the world stood itself upon thresholded future, whilst time yielded its secrets. For beneath a widening sky, Anna poised herself, listening to whispers of recourse, prepared to mold this realm unexpected in her favor. She listened, alongside Leon's soft breaths, for answers painted by fate's hand against the sketch of a morning that bore unforeseen inscriptions. "Whom do you trust?" he asked, words light with hidden weight. Thus the narrative, entwined and stretched, wove its path wide enough for possibilities. Anna drew forward and answered delicately, knowing the path defined by tenacity's whisper. For now, she said simply, eyes locked on Leon's steady gaze, their shared world inked in time's fluid motley. Only us, she declared. At that moment, the car bore an unmistakable silhouette, leveled alone toward them, charged by opportunity. And as unseen doors swung wide amidst those softened shadows, Anna caught sight of a figure, another herald of the unexpected, a secret none were meant to share. A slight movement, barely perceptible, yet it conveyed the kind of foresight normally reserved for fate's architects. A flicker not entirely at odds with prescient design. And therein lay the promise, sustained, delicate balance demanding only ink and understanding's advantage in its telling. The chill cut through Anna's leather jacket like a razor, contrasting sharply with the warmth of Leon's blood where her hands pressed against his side. Drops of rain splattered her face, cold and cleansing, as the early morning sun pierced the horizon with tentative light. "Get away from him!" A guttural shout shattered the quiet, and Anna's eyes snapped to the source. A wiry man stood at the alley entrance, his eyes wild with something between fear and desperation, his hand gripping a bat already slicked with rain. Anna's heart raced. She couldn't afford to show fear now, not when Leon's life was draining away beneath her hands. "I'm warning you," she hissed, trying to summon every ounce of authority in her slight frame. Raleigh Ricci was the kind of man who took advantage of any perceived weakness, but today she hoped her determination was enough to hold him at bay, if only for a few moments. Leon's unconscious form pressed heavy against her, a silent vow of protection. She was the bridge between his precarious hold on life and the abyss that awaited should his enemies claim him here, now. "Raleigh, don't. Walk away." Her voice brooked no argument, though inside the very ground seemed to quake beneath her. Raleigh hesitated, bat lowering slightly, reading uncertainty where there was none. There was a festering legend about Chaim, a latecomer to the family's dark fold, someone unbending enough to scare even the shadows from their hiding places. Anna barely recognized her voice as it continued. "Touching him means the end for you, even now." The words hung heavy, weaving a quivering tension through the rain-soaked tableau. Minutes passed like weighted breaths, and then, as unexpectedly as a sunbeam piercing a storm cloud, he laughed, dark, serrated, cutting the air between them. "It's worth it," he eventually snarled, advancing. Anna's eyes flickered to the gun discreetly hidden just beneath Leon's coat, its promise of violence and unspoken threat. Rain battered the alley as if nature herself sought to wash away the sins enacted here, the sound becoming a mournful symphony. "You think you're saving him?" Raleigh sneered, taking another step into the alley. "He wouldn't save you." Anna tightened her jaw. "Watch me." Her defiance rattled Raleigh, and for a moment, indecision warred in his eyes like a shadow battle. As he took another step, Anna's fingertips brushed the gun, drawing it ever so slightly into view, the glint of steel catching the dim light. Before Raleigh could act, a voice rippled through the alley, a chuckle sharp enough to cut stone. "That's quite enough, wouldn't you say?" A tall man emerged from the mist, umbrella twirling with casual precision, eyes gleaming like a cat's in the shadows. Raleigh froze, all bluster draining before his gaze. It was Dominic Belusi, known for his twisted allegiance more often bred than bought, a puppet master whose pull extended into realms untold. "Dominic," Raleigh ground out, hand twitching, "this doesn't concern you. It concerns everyone now, doesn't it?" Dominic's umbrella swung with a flicker of Matador's gambit, and Anna found herself holding her breath. His presence brought a shift, altering the balance, an invisible lever shifting the world's weight. Anna unclenched slightly. Whatever game Dominic played, Leon's life had just become a bargaining chip he couldn't quite afford to lose. "Take him and go," Dominic commanded smoothly, nodding to Anna. Then to Leon, his serpentine grace unyielding. Raleigh threw one last look of venom towards them, but it was a waning moment. The alley claimed his sputtered rage as he slipped back into shadows, wary of lashes unseen. Anna exhaled slowly, the sky finally releasing its grip on the deluge, as Raleigh's form dissolved behind curtains of rain. Dominic's smile was all crocodile charm, his eyes inky pools of depthless intent. "Leon's lucky," he mused, almost absently, saving his appeal for the walls that stood witness. To have found someone as reckless as you. Suspicion edged through her relief. What do you want, Dominic? The question, dear Anna, Dominic replied, leaning lazily against a lamppost, is what do you want? Silence followed, broken only by the remnants of rain pattering like a heartbeat between breaths. Anna looked at Leon, whose breast still weakened, but whose pulse beat steady, a cadence promising hope should this defiance hold. What you've started, you must finish, Dominic finally said. The Ricci's will not forget, nor forgive. Anna steeled herself, a newfound resolution igniting a slow, simmering blaze within. And I won't stop until they do. Dominic's eyes flicked across the alley, hints of admiration sprinkled in his amusement. Then, Miss Russo, you're right where you belong, a chess piece poised to topple kings. Realization wrapped Anna in its demanding embrace. This was no longer about safe houses and shadows, but a strategic upend of an empire, sharp and deliberate. The arc of time lulled them once more, only to snap taut at Dominic's final farewell. They'll come, Anna. Be ready to welcome them. The words hung like prophecy, binding their futures more closely than either could comprehend. Dominic's form blended into the gloom, whispers of ancient rain still tracing melodies abrupt in their end. Anna was left cradled in memory and moment, the promise of vengeance hammering through her veins like wounded drums. Finally looking upon Leon, she saw the man, not a myth, fighting to be reborn beneath layers of dyed authority cleft by a single wound, a dichotomy that both shattered and remade. He'd murmured promises of power outside lawns tiled with rain showers, her mirror of recourse as chance and choice penned connections anew. When he spoke again, strength mirrored upon resolve, woven by fingers dyed in fate's ink. Anna couldn't help but glance at the horizon yet again. Night's velvet looming heavy upon the cusp of splendor once more gifted. When Leon finally opened his eyes, his gaze bore not the weight of judgment, but of time given slight reprieve beneath oppressive expectations. We finish this, Anna promised, each word a cornerstone of the path diverging into an unfathomable dawn. His hand, damp with rain mingled with life's light scarce visible, pressed hers with gratitude's unyielding binding. As morning light finally unfurled across the bricks, tendering too late purpose in refusal's renewal. Anna stood tall, her mind swirled with new understanding, a tapestry carefully constructed yet demanding voice to describe it plainly. An unexpected ally, not defined by past mythos clinging stubbornly like shadowed thorns. As the horizon flared anew, Anna caught sight of a flicker, a specter unbidden dancing beyond contact, remnants of narrative unfolding afresh. Do you see it? She whispered, and Leon laughed, a soft sound woven through promise and story unwritten. On the edge of morning's light and era, not dictated by names written, a whisper crossed the expanse. What are you willing to sacrifice? A question, neither accusation nor assumption, threading their world about tight narratives yet unfolded. A challenge stood before them, and Anna drew forth the truth defined only by spirit, resilient beneath break upon break. A presence in shadow steadily unfurled, its daring promise refusing clemency, even under newborn sunlight, a promise tenderly resurgent, sharp as whispered resolve, a guardian swathed in edgy grace beneath an untold dawn. A scream tore through the morning, sharp and fractured, and Anna's heart seized against her ribcage. She stumbled backward, confusion and raw terror propelling her as she tried to discern whether the cry had been real or just another strand unfurling in this waking nightmare. Leon was at her side, his hand gripping her arm, steadying both of them against the uncertainty that the day had cast. His face was pale, etched with determination and pain, each breath a testament to the sacrifice he bore silently. The safe house stood silent around them, its looming presence a mere specter of safety, now rendered vulnerable. The windows, opaque with condensation, filtered the diffused morning light into tepid gray, a backdrop to their endeavor. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice taut, weaving through the charged silence. Everything in her reacted, a series of shivers racing down her spine, alerting her to dangers veiled by the fragile quiet. Leon nodded, his eyes scanning the confined expanse, trying to read the tensions layered invisibly in the air. "In this world, screams rarely lie," he replied, truth bleeding into his words, somber and filled with dark wisdom. But it's a question, who's screaming for whom? Anna tightened her grip on the concealed weapon, a cold affirmation of the choices they had yet to confront. The reality of their existence had shifted perilously with each breath since the alley, balancing precariously on the blurred boundaries of loyalty and survival. And yet, between those ephemeral heartbeats, amid the stained backdrop of danger, realizations crystallized. Shadows outside were merely reflections of those within, a shifting labyrinth where secrets nestled. "We need more than guts to survive," Leon murmured, shifting closer, his breath a ghost against her cheek. Their eyes met, and within the depths of those gray pools, Anna found something unexpected, an acknowledgement, a silent pact staring back with gravity. Life had taught her to play it safe, trembling on the edge. But it was Leon who now drew her forward, through the labyrinth of destiny they'd tangled within. "You're with me in this," Anna affirmed, her voice a ripple against the cacophony of silence that lay thick and waiting to be shattered. "Not by choice," Leon returned with a wry smile, concurring in the quiet language they'd forged through necessity. Outside, the world continued, distant sounds of life defying the stormy constraints echoing through the cavity of time. But inside this cocoon, the tether of choices diverged as danger unfurled midday shadows long past. "We move," Leon said suddenly, decision tightening lines across his brow, like veils obscuring paths not freely chosen. "Where will we go?" she asked, heart a ferocious thud, synchronized with the unexplained movements lurking around them. The calm before fate swept them up in a maelstrom of intentions. His fingers traced a faded map clinging to the wall, an old friend's place. In this city, old ties are sometimes the only ones you should trust. Anna absorbed the layered advice, a resonating truth springing forth from every word. In this world of shifting loyalties, safety was fleeting, an illusion as tremulous as misunderstood mercy. As Leon outlined a plan, Anna's mind shifted, an unlikely tango between wistful wonder and a steadfast resolve that defied the unyielding forecasts of those who thought the world predictable. Even as plans layered upon plans, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that eyes, invisible but all-encompassing, followed their every movement, knitting future meeting points of intention and consequence in this intertwined narrative. They slipped outside, rain-enriched air brushing against their skin like a forgotten memory. The city lay before them, a haunting landscape veiled by mist, yet rumbled with the life lived beneath layers of deceit and clandestine allegiances. The journey felt surreal, and Anna sensed meaning in each facade passed, each corner turned, these moments of adaptation, of breathing amidst the camouflage crafted to shield from both the known and undiscovered. Crisis morality. The world heaved around them, cradling their uncertainties within its expansive arms, and Anna felt each shift within, a submerged anticipation taut against a relentless tide. The journey deepened into the burrow where shadows ruled with quiet authority, a testament to unspoken oaths exchanged beneath the world's attention. Here, creaking fences whispered secrets of solace, and lives reduced to whispers thrived beneath fortunes of neutrality. As Leon led her along broken stone paths, Anna hesitated, seeing potential in the glimpses offered here. Her curtains drawn prudently, shielding worlds within a universe of whispers. Thus, the ordinary wore extraordinary hues. The unrelenting sun broke the mist's tyranny, a transient warmth full against Anna's face. A reluctant solace as they reached their destination, a modest apartment hugged by ivy and mystery. There was something magical about this life woven with strands of ambiguity and truth, a discernment arched carefully against a canvas painted with night's betrayal. But simplicity had never been a hallmark here, as sudden reproach marked the air and ambiance, alive with the press of danger previously resisted. A movement behind Anna flashed, then silence before Leon's voice rang clear. "Anna, fall back." In an instant, uncertainty bred terror, and reaction melded with instinct. Anna's body thrust into motion, hushed syncopation within time's impending rupture. As Leon battled the unseen fate, Anna glimpsed once more what stirred beneath that hardened resolve. She embraced the familiarity of what freedom, loose from expectation, desired a will to rewrite. And thus, within the cascading collision of flame and vengeance wielded in the form of dance against power, A new challenge emerged, not one defined by simplistic expectation, but innovation by truth gripped fervently. Under life's testy cloak of application, unyielding and poignant, stood Anna not as a bystander, but as an embodiment of strength. Catalyst struggle. In this realm where mortals wore masks beneath veils and thickened arms bared narrative's course, perseverance proclaimed defiance against shadow and struggled trajectory. Amidst unpredictable tempos, drummed in relentless rhythm, when balance waned beneath intrigue's conspiracy, Anna emerged ready. Within Leon's battle where silence whispered tangled fate, Anna took the given mantle, comprehension infused with clarity, rediscovered. Stay out of sight, Leon implored as a place relinquished embrace. But Anna stood firm. Her path was worn by expectancy, unmarked in intention, where dreams nor courage faltered. The crossing mark of deliverance filled the quietly simmering air. Anna vowed without hesitation. It may not be of your choice, but lines who've called must be drawn, even on edge, even this edge. His attention shifted willingly, embracing hope unfurled on rhetoric's fleeting whim. Out into the ebb and flow of something not so long ago bound upon stars-aligned patterns, they moved, cradling unknown futures on lines frequently cast by defiant narratives. Embracing risk, Bush said, Anna felt the weight of continuation, values unearthed beneath surface composure now beckoning them. And so, moving beneath myriad skies cast with trouble and redemption new, Anna listened to turns in shadow's voices, transformed in faithful rhythm, as though eternally quenched in flame. Now Leon tempered, aware of secrets that could cradle or confine. Together entangled within tacit red embrace, they stared as truth surged forth, testament unbroken, carried further by eternal wisdom's flowing journey. And as their movements resonated within once cold track amid compassion, reclaimed they learned, holding closely the dance where renewal's song, scripted in turns of measured grace. Finality lingered near a chorus unsung, yet rending only anticipation. And in an echo underlain with grace resurgent, a soft phrase fluttered by. What will you do? Thus it framed action, future teller's question, as remembering crossed the threshold between expectation and realization. Their story had only begun to bloom. The room seemed to breathe in the silence that followed, as though alive with its secrets, a witness to the web spun from restraint and longing. Anna stood at the edge of Leon's consciousness, the weight of her presence both a barrier and a conduit to the uncertainty that thickened the air around them. The rustle of fabric against leather, the distant murmur of traffic, a world at once isolated yet interwoven with the symphony of life, cradled them. Leon's vitality ebbed, yet the spirit of something unbroken lingered, a faint halo of willpower that illuminated their connection. A spasm of fear racked Anna. She fought the icy tendrils that threatened her resolve, drawing strength from the warmth that seemed to radiate opposite logic. The room still echoed with the residue of chaos, moments woven from the fabric of stark confrontation. Leon's breath remained shallow, each inhalation a punctuated rhythm that marked the passage of what felt like borrowed time, metronome of urgency tapping against the backdrop of muted forevers. Anna tore her gaze from him, her mind racing back to earlier hours that had carried the promise of normalcy. The day stood on the cusp of new opportunity. Each breath a beckoning, coaxing hair a quiet song heralding the dawn and the choices it laid bare. What's our next move? Her voice broke through the stillness, drawing acknowledgement from Leon, who shifted a mere shadow, pressed by forces both external and intimate. They'll be back, Leon whispered, dragging his consciousness from the depths, each word surfacing with difficulty. His eyes, pools of stormy determination, tethered her steadily even within seething uncertainty. Anna nodded, the weight of his words coalescing into an understanding. Only whispered dreams carried a dance set to the tune of inevitability. But beneath the surface, something unraveled, like tangled threads finding freedom from the loom. The room, with its warm wood and lingering sense of old papers and history, bore solemn witness to an unspoken agreement as it played spectators to this evolving alliance, one born of necessity, yet nurtured by an unexpected camaraderie. Their footfalls, barely audible, stirred the settled dust of responsibility as they emerged into the broader world, Anna's senses alert, taking solace in the chilled caress of the air. The city stretched before them, alive with the messy weave of denials and admissions of the unlit corners beyond perception. Leon, Anna began, the gravity of the shared reality heavy on her tongue. This isn't just about you anymore. His silence was thoughtful, turning shadows to substance with a single enigmatic look and understanding ripened between kindred spirits. I was wrong about you, Leon admitted, his voice soft but edged with a steely truth. I never should have pulled you into this. Anna shook her head, a frown creasing her brow as resolve sewed itself tightly across ambition's seam. You underestimate who I've always been. A breath passed, carrying with it the burdens unspoken, a glimpse of personal history that hung heavier than the threat woven into their reality, like a persistent mist. Through the ripple of time stilled by poised decisions, a symphony played on, a reminder of past choices, the chords of existence endlessly replenished by fallout and redemption. Despite graver consequences, urging hesitation, Anna tightened her grip on purpose, pulling it closer, talisman brandished against expectation's storm. They continued their deliberate parade through the deformations of daybreak, guided by resolve, sunlight warming shoulders chilled by more than rain. Yet, lurking within the walls of familiarity, uncertainty cast itself as a hushed silhouette, marking their presence with soft tremors. It's larger than you imagine, Leon remarked, as paths wove alongside each decision, fragments of a larger pattern. I know, was Anna's simple reply, a clause penned in steadied breath, a promise of anticipated intent rather than misplaced conviction. Their conversation turned then, silence taking root, growing like ivy across intentions long hidden. Moment after patient moment filled with reflections, wrapped secure against a reality steeped in shadows. Gradually, despite judgment collapsing under inevitability's weight, the unspoken shared between them flowered anew. Impacts of choices echoed vibrantly through heartbeats, syncopated against narrowed chance. A bittersweet harmony claimed resonance against a backdrop of deceit and scattered truths. Until finally, Anna felt Ita beacon within the lighthouse arrives amidst the shrouded, by obscured edges, something reckoned in simple certainty. The finality of choice hovered palpably. Anna turned her gaze skyward, a wordless plea sketched against the sprawling canvas shaded from mercy, misplaced, and hope rekindled. Leaning slightly against the doorway, Anna inhaled deeply. Breath met air while purpose summoned strength, unwavering. Leon's softened demeanor was like a painting, unfinished though, a brushstroke of understanding, racing perpetually across a half-seen canvas, urging the retelling of hope unveiled through shared perspective. In sync, the air hung waiting. An idle whisper of movement, then stillness, followed by shadows haunted long after shadows existed, as entities alluded to possibilities embedded deeper than surfaces revealed. They threaded each moment together, building fortified strands from those overlooked in intervals granted solely by threads unnoticed. Anna and Leon drew together, facing horizons knit from interwoven destinies, awaiting judgment, heralding a catalyst disguised. Then, with silences unheard and unspoken promises exchanged, time resumed its cadence across that delicate boundaria ripple, across still waters, capturing chronicle's fire. In truth's newly ushered in upon dawn's stage, a gentle shiver echoing through intention's embrace. Thus they ventured steadily toward the future once blurred, well aware of that which lingered starkly, daring a renewal no longer restrained by shadows alone. 'Neath unguarded skies veined by risk and unwavering resolution, they trod paths forged anew. It was then, as reality braided itself entrancingly intertwined beneath fledgling daybreak, that Anna felt inexorable anticipation, poised within whispered, poised stillness. And from within ethereal silhouette cast against ambition's verge, came a single voice resonant above specters traced. Does courage seek its master, or does sovereign fear obey the willing voice? The rain fell in sheets, sweeping across the cobblestones like a silken curtain, its relentless patter the only sound in the otherwise sprawling silence of the street. The storm had come suddenly, carrying with it a foreboding chill that spoke of secrets and stories long concealed beneath layers of darkness. Anna stood beneath the overhang of the safe house's entrance, her frame slender yet striking, a figure both fragile and indomitable against the backdrop of the tempest. Her gaze was fixed on the world beyond a city cloaked in decay and whispering promises of danger and desire. Leon watched her closely, his own presence a juxtaposition of power and vulnerability. Gone was the imposing figure he demanded to present in everyday dealings. In this intricate dance of shadows and allies, he was stripped bare, leaving only the man behind the myth, a man entrusting his fate to the whims of a woman who had stumbled into his world clutching a puppy and unexpectedly barging into his guarded heart. Anna, he began, the richness of his voice cutting through the rain and settling like a soft caress against the tension threaded through the air. We can't delay any further. The Ricci family knows we're close. Anna turned to him, eyes ablaze with a determination fueled by the challenges they'd faced. Each trial, each danger had forged an inescapable bond between them, a silent vow written in the quiet moments when words fell short. She had been overlooked, disregarded, a simple life frayed by unspoken losses. Yet here, amid tempest's fury, she found a purpose that spoke to her soul. I know, she replied softly, a hint of the icy resolve that now defined her lurking under her deceptive calm. Every minute we wait, we're gambling with our lives. The safe house, while once a sanctuary, now loomed heavy with memories of the struggles they had endured. Despite the safety its four walls represented, Anna felt the urgency crouching at her back, ready to pounce with the slighted shift in power. She could feel the ghost of the dice in her palm, and the stakes this time were immeasurable. Even as Leon exuded calm, she could sense his restraint, the anxious rush he forced into silence as they plotted their next steps. Behind her, the puppy, now known as Pip, whimpered softly, instinctively nuzzling against her calf. Anna bent to scoop the small creature into her arms, seeking warmth in its tangible life, its vitality, perhaps the only innocence left untouched by the chaos that continued unfurling around them. A sudden burst of light, dazzling and unexpected, illuminated the alley. Anna squinted against its brilliance, momentarily blinded. Her heart stuttered a panicked rhythm, her grip tightening reflexively around Pip. "What's happening?" she asked Leon, her voice steady despite the rising fear. Leon's posture shifted, his gaze locked on the source of the light headlights from a vehicle approaching with languid purpose. Its presence a glaring intrusion in the shrouded refuge they delicately constructed. It was a harbinger of their newest challenge, one they knew would force their hand before preparedness softened its blow. "They're here," he muttered grimly. "We need to be ready." "Ready for what?" Anna queried, the urgency coiling tight within her as the weight of the moment settled heavily into her bones. He reached into the inner pocket of his coat, withdrawing a sleek, brushed steel revolver, a stark symbol of the life he led, the choices that carved their destiny from inevitability. "You might need this," he offered, meeting her eyes with an earnestness born from the shared understanding of power and vulnerability. Anna hesitated momentarily before accepting the weapon, the cold metal familiar against her palm. Perhaps it was fate's reckless gambit, or simply the clarity that stemmed from adversity, but the gesture felt like a seamless transition, a culmination of every step they'd taken within the shifting landscape of loyalty, betrayal, and redemption. As Leon turned to face the encroaching threat, Anna fell into step beside him, the convergence of their paths a testament to the transformative journey that had brought them to this pivotal threshold. When the vehicle came to a halt, its brakes hissing ominously in the rain-soaked air, the doors opened to reveal figures dressed in somber shadows, faces obscured by the dim light. Anna and Leon stood together, the backdrop of storm and resolve framing their confrontation with unyielding clarity. The moment throbbed with potential, the unfolding chaos holding spectacle and risk in equal measure. From among the figures emerged a woman whose mere presence commanded awe and unease. Her hair was a cascade of dark waves, framing a face carved from sharp intent and hidden stories. "Allegra Ricci," Leon intoned, recognition threading his voice. Anna watched as the woman stepped forward, her gaze in intelligent inquiry boring into the fabric of their alliance, seeking out weaknesses yet undiscovered. "Leon Romano," Allegra replied, her voice a delicate balance of silk and steel. "The man who dances at the edge of oblivion with an unlikely partner." Your games won't break us, Anna declared, her voice infused with the wisdom earned through suffering. A faint smile played at the corners of Allegra's lips, her expression the mirror of an enigma delighting in the unraveling of destiny's weave. Oh, I'm not here to break, she said. I'm here to bargain. The Ricci line is changing. Lay down your weapons, and we may all emerge unscathed. The silence spun its tendrils around them, winding through the rain-blurred boundary of ally and foe. It was a dance of cunning and chaos, of illumination suspended amidst shadows poised to reclaim forgotten truths. Leon exchanged a glance with Anna, a silent accord passing between them, fortified by the journey they had yet to complete. You have your answer, Leon spoke at last, his words a bullet of defiance piercing the film of expectation. Allegra inclined her head graciously, acknowledging the resolve, as though it were both expected and respected. Then may strength escort you, Leon. I wonder who shall write this triumph's final chapter. As her words drifted into the ether, Anna sensed the veil of uncertainty slipping from her grasp, leaving only the tenacity crafted from experience and belief's rebirth. With a fluid grace, Allegra retreated, her presence receding like a whisper swallowed by the encroaching dawn. And so, as the rain fell like an ethereal curtain, Anna stood poised at the crossroads of destiny, forged within purpose's flame, her resolve burning fiercely beneath the storm's watchful eye. As the sun broke through the suffocating shroud of clouds, painting the city in gold and promise, a voice soft and unexpected cleaved the silence. What does it all mean, Anna? The question hung heavy in the air, the answer unfurling in the space where past met future, weaving through the tapestry of heartbeats bound by the eternal refrain. It signaled the revival of a journey yet unfinished, a story broader than expectation, with echoes reverberating through time's choir. As a new day dawned, spread with possibilities, Anna awaited the unfurling of their saga, her spirit indomitable beneath the weight of the cascading new world. In that fragile balance, another voice slid across the evening pale like a shadow in waiting, one singular word crafting the promise of the challenges yet to come, tomorrow. The storm had subsided, leaving behind a city washed clean yet burdened with secrets steeped in pavement cracks. Promise me, she heard Leon's voice echo in her mind as the previous night played back like a noir film against the backdrop of her memory. Promise me you'll finish what we started, Anna. Anna awoke in the hushed safety of the safe house, its walls a sanctuary from the chaos outside. Sunlight broke timidly through the curtains, illuminating motes of dust that danced lazily in the air, painting a picture of transitory peace. The room was spare, the walls lined with books that spoke of vicarious adventures and lost worlds, stories lived through ink and dream. It was a space of contrast, a place that offered both a soothing escape and a sobering reflection of reality. Anna huddled beneath the woolen blanket, her frame frozen with the remnants of anxiety, heart still throbbing with the gravity of the prior night's confrontation. Anna, time has always been your fiercest ally, hasn't it? Leon's words resonated again, words heavy with the weight of foresight and fondness that only he could make feel like a gentle admonition. She threw off the quilt, feet finding the cool hardwood floor before she padded silently to the window. Beyond, the city exhaled, littered with the detritus of genteel chaos, whispers of what might have been, and what yet could be under the watchful eyes of those in power. A knock echoed softly against the morning stillness, a harbinger of the day's inevitable demands. Anna pulled the door open to find Pip, the puppy, bounding in with undiluted exuberance, tail wagging furiously. And Leon, gaze steady, stood in the threshold, a pillar amidst the whirlwind, his presence grounding her. Despite the bandages swathing his side, he bore the visage of serenity, yes, clouded with the weight of unsaid truths. You're up early, he noted, stepping further inside, easing comfortably into the quiet reassurance of the room. Anna felt the corners of her mouth lift in a modest smile, a quiet acknowledgement of the constant rhythm of this unexpected partnership. There's too much to do and too little time to waste. I figured I'd start the day right, she replied, bending to pet Pip's head fondly. Indeed, Leon mused, you'll be needing this. He reached into his coat, pulling out a small envelope marked with the familiar sigil of the Ricci family and the embossed emblem of ivy intertwining with forbidden desire. Anna accepted the envelope, fingers tactile against its weight, the envelope a harbinger of new beginnings or further conflict. She carefully unfolded the paper within, eyes scanning the ciphered message enclosed. Alex Ricci's scrawled invitation to a truce, an olive branch extended in shadows cast longer than the tangible morning light. "What do you make of it?" Leon asked, his tone tinged with intrigue that belied underlying skepticism. Anna considered, eyes narrowing as adrenaline tinged anticipation with a faint edge of trepidation. "It's a trap. It could always be a trap. But maybe it's an opportunity," she murmured, the flicker of their shared mutual trust refracted in her gaze. Leon nodded contemplatively, aware of the delicacy required to navigate the treacherously political waters they found themselves treading. "The Ricci's play the long game, but you, Anna, you have a remarkable way of flipping the board." The compliment felt sincere, an acknowledgement coded in earnest familiarity. Pip barked softly, breaking the reflective silence, a reminder of simpler joys amid convoluted narratives. Then they prepared, their movements swift yet calculated, an assembly of plans and counter-strategies underpinning each action. By mid-morning they were ready. Anna donned her armor of choice, a sleek leather jacket, her silent rebellion against the constraints imposed by expectation, a wary sophistication that belied the fierce resolve she carried within. Their footsteps reverberated in the hall as visions of what could be drove them towards the uncertain meeting, where trust and treachery lingered uninvited, waiting in the gilded corners of Ricci's singular tableau. The Ricci's lair was as much a marvel of luxury as it was an architecture of subtle intimidation. Grand marble halls that echoed with power, rooms adorned with opulent tapestries, whispering old family legacies. Anna and Leon entered the conference room with the confidence born of weathering countless storms, opponents now circled by allies forged amid adversity. The room was a dichotomy of grandeur, a vast table surrounded by shadows and silk, the very air redolent with gunmetal and leather. Sitting at the helm was Allegra Ricci, regal and calculating, her posture perfect, an unyielding blade cloaked in velvet. At her side stood Alex Ricci, charm, emanating but barely concealing the duplicity mirrored in his gaze. Anna took a seat opposite Allegra, Leon once more at her side, his presence the quiet steadiness she never knew she needed. Allegra greeted them, a languid smile sliding across her lips, a courtesy neither expected nor requested. "Welcome," she purred, her voice a compelling drawl. Anna returned the smile, crisp and earned, meeting Allegra's challenge with her own brand of disarming candor. "An honor, I'm sure." "And still, we convene," Alex commented smoothly, gesturing toward the opulent spread arranged before them. "Let's forsake the preambles, shall we?" Allegra nodded, eyes dark and knowing. "I suspect neither of us has time to waste on niceties." The air shifted, a palpable tension stretched thin, each conversation poised on the precipice of chaos or resolution. "There's a storm approaching, Allegra." "Allegra," Leon intoned, voice steady as shadows flickered to life within the recesses of their gathering. Allegra held his gaze, hers unwavering, a testament to her birthright within the clandestine halls of power. "Storms cleanse as much as they destroy," she replied, her voice silk over steel, weaving truth and consequence intricately. Silence enveloped them as allegiances and enmities were laid bare upon the stage. Past betrayals scrutinizing present intentions, tangled histories and nascent opportunities visible amongst expressions and observations made. Anna leaned forward, her focus ceaseless. "It's time for new beginnings, Allegra," Anna spoke, her voice weaving through the charged air. "Let's build bridges, not burn them." The stakes were underscored by quiet conviction, a resonance trembling through controlled breaths, waiting for narratives to reshape among wrought tensions spun within veils of understanding. Allegra surveyed Anna with incredulity, touched by a quiet admiration. "Arduous paths held gaunt tales, don't you think?" she asked, a rhetorical dance drifting between, marking destiny's waypoint. Anna merely inclined her head, words superfluous against veiled confessions. Throughout their conversation, tension thrummed behind every word, a ballroom dance meant to track loyalty, until shadows surrendered to the dawn, revealing the price of passage uncounted. Alex's voice sliced across the room. Our history sculpts our path, yet remains unbound, as we are, Leon countered softly, forged under pressure, refined through trust. Each heartbeat in rhythm, Anna's serene yet lively, thunder underset by revelation's anticipation, whispering across fingertips molded for action. Allegra closed her eyes briefly, a gesture of unspoken agreement, sustaining the calm. A fresh breeze whispered through open windows soundlessly, carrying the herald of morning balancing uncertainties. Anna leaned back, sufficient resolve building its fortress amidst vulnerability's tides, seeking neither contest nor capitulation. Whispers awaited acknowledgement across the table, where power lines defined precision, narratives composed across observation captured lightly. Allegra's cursive voice broke the pause, warmly laced with a strange kind of acceptance. Would that we keep our tender balance. Anna nodded, her gaze unfaltering amongst the grace unfurled. After all, she continued, aren't delicate narratives what bind persistence? The symmetry spanning threads encapsulating them vibrated with artistic deliverance. Each Mr. and Mrs. reflected as adversaries greet on dual paths. Anna rose, Leon following suit, a sculpted moment destined for culmination and rebirth under Shadow's tutelage, awaiting bright tomorrows. The meeting trailing to close through whispered truths crossing shadowed divider between gilded moment. As both stood poised near potential's narrow bridge, Allegra tendered her final sentiment, woven upon mystery's confines. With vision, Anna and Leon gently traversed conduits binding unspoken pledges. Summations exposed, equations presented as tolerance's echo, swaying paths before convergence bore enlightenment. Through twilight, truth took note, flickering amidst primeval waves adrift, essence caressed. A descant shaping the edge, wherein passages told their tales, shading nuances scarcely exposed, narrative bearing fortitude, mere stability disregarded. May resolution accompany evolution's prospects, Allegra imparted, a feather brushing narratives contrarily. Words tangled through threads vibrant as opposed realms entwined within spirits acknowledged unquiet. Anna nodded lightly against Marble's veil, undefeated by actuators' impositions, where unseen rivals bore witness unto life renegotiated. They drifted slowly toward entwined thresholds, expecting resolution's polish returning caution by intuition's signature. Through avenues impassive yet astutely bearing dawn's truth with kindness, Anna and Leon emerged, a cryptic affair renewed by facets elegantly. Upon oceans etching subtle lines where wind traced, they stepped pliantly, narrative cohesion affirming possibilities astir. Leon's whispered resolve graced beyond orchestration, sealing compact by metaphor's resplendent impetus combining. The realization yearned timelessness, plot's hallmark wound entwined, shadowed epic, laying paths unwarranted. Yet fate tiptoed furtively across tranquility's threshold, offering tokens discord exposed uncomposed, of chronicles captured crisply. Anna felt life's burlesque allow a resolve unknown, not authored by forecast alone, but written by mastery refined. Her eyes found Leon's, safe haven mirrored, carrying implorations beyond redemption, back unto dormant felicity. As shadows drew near reality's spectrum, beholden at last risen vibrations, message unmasking redemption thrilled at dawn's unfurling, where symphony enraptures sighs. Is peace only illusion? Their footsteps carried on mist from gilded corridors overarching, matching dreams unposed by fate's allegory.